Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to see the very beautiful sector, and that is the cave temple circuit of Western India. And with us, Dr. Subhas Rao Jadhav. He is a renowned name in the travel trade industry. He is going to present this webinar on cave temple circuit of Western India. I want to give a small introduction about Subhas Rao Jadhav. He is RLG regional level guide from Western region, but he is also a professor in Bhimrao Ambedkar University in tourism department. Other than this, he was in hospitality sector for 14 years. He speaks German language, and now he also teach the German language to the tourism sector's people. He was a joint secretary and the vice president of the Tourist Guide Federation of India for 6 years. A great personality, double MA, PhD in tourism industry, MA in German language. So we are lucky to have the Dr. Subhas Rao Jadhav within us to present a lecture on cave temple circuit of Western India. As we all know, there are 1,500 cave temples is still excavated by archaeology department in Western sector. And most ancient Western cave temple is Pitalkhoda. And I hope Dr. Subhas Rao Jadhav, during his lecture, he will also focus on that Pitalkhoda temple, because that is, according to archaeology, one of the most ancient cave temple of India. So here, without any delay, I want to introduce Dr. Subhas Rao Jadhav. Please, Jadhav sir, continue your speech.
Dr. Ajay ji, thank you very much. Ms. Motasi Naskar madam, officials of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, and respected audience. Ajay ji, thank you very much for your kind introduction. Today, it's my great pleasure to have a small dialogue with today's present audience about one of the most exciting and important circuit of the world, I would like to say. So friends, today, first of all, our title, what I'm going to talk about, it is self-explanatory. The cave circuit of Western India. Now you will say, why not India? Why you have taken Western India? The reason behind that, the most of the caves, in fact, it's a wrong word. It should be cave temples. They are not natural cavities. If it's a natural, then we say it's a cave. We have classical examples like a Bhimbedka in Madhya Pradesh for a natural cave, but totally we have 1,800 cave temples, rock-cut cave temples in India. You will not believe. 75% of the caves of the world are situated in India. 75%. They are situated in India, and out of that, 1,000 500 cave temples, rock-cut cave temples are situated in Deccan Plateau. Majority part of these cave temples are situated in Maharashtra. Now, the question comes into the mind of everybody, who has created all this? Who had plenty of time to do all these kind of things? In fact, this work was going on. It was done by our ancestors. It was going on from 3rd century BC, going on till 13th century AD. Say more than 1,600 years without stop, just with the just help of chisel and hammer. There were no bonded labors. It was, everything was patronized by someone, and the whole work, the great work, was going on for more than 1,600 years with the help of chisel and hammer, which is done by our ancestors in entire India. Now, first of all, when we talk about this cave temple circuit of India, then there are very simple questions. It comes to the mind, who has done it? What was the purpose? For whom it was done? How much time it took? Who patronized all this? So these are the questions. So first of all, let me go back to 3rd century BC. There were different dynasties who are responsible for the creation of this great art of rock-cut cave temples in India. Satavahanas. You know, Satavahana dynasty was ruling from Pratisthanapuram or Paitan, which is just, 50 kilometers towards south of Aurangabad, which is located in Maharashtra. Aurangabad is 400 kilometers east of Mumbai, and Pratisthanapuram is 50 kilometers south of Aurangabad. That Pratisthanapuram is known as Paitan today. And that dynasty, they were Orthodox Brahmins. But in a true sense, the secularity, whenever we talk about secularity, so it is proved by our ancestors. First, the patronage came up from Satavahanas for the Pitalkhora caves, which are 78 kilometers away from Aurangabad towards north. And the Pitalkhora caves are Buddhist caves. As I was talking about, Pitalkhora is the first place which was patronized by a Hindu dynasty, a Brahmin dynasty, Satavahanas, and they were Buddhist caves. So first of all, the work was started there, and gradually in the span of from 3rd century BC to 13th century AD till the end of Yadava dynasty, 1,500 caves came into existence on the Deccan Plateau. So initially, these cave architecture, rock-cut cave shelters, was started by Buddhist monks. Actually, monks never took chisel and hammers in their hand. It was a concept given by monks. The basic purpose of caves, it was shelters. Initially, there were shelters, very temporary shelters, and there was a concept in Buddhism, rock-cut cave temples, the shelters in a monsoon or Varshavas. The monks, they were not supposed to stay more than 3 days at the same place. But during the monsoons, there were heavy rainfalls, thick forest, and it was very difficult to move. And in Purushapuram, today it is known as Peshawar, there was a Buddhist conference, and in that Buddhist conference, they have changed this religious rule, not to stay more than 3 days at the same place. It was a principle of detachment. The principle of detachment, which was followed strongly by the monks. So when the new concept, new idea came up, They were allowed to stay at the same place during the Varshavas, during the monsoon. They were allowed to stay for 4 months. And during that period, they were in need of some shelters. And shelters were there, but they were very temporary. And that's why the monks came with a novel idea. Why not to have some permanent shelters? Then the caves were started everywhere in India, but basically in the Deccan Plateau. The geographical situations are also responsible for this. Number one, the religious and spiritual activities, and they found a very suitable quality for the rock shelters in Western India, and that is on the Deccan. It is amygdala. Subquality is amygdala. It's a basalt rock. It's a volcanic region. I'm going to show you some pictures, and in that pictures, I will show you that part. So I have got some wonderful slides of all these regions, but I'm giving just a basic idea about what actually we are going to see today, and what is the historical importance, what is the spiritual importance, what is the financial, what is the trade importance. First of all, that we'll understand in a few minutes, and then I'll go ahead and I will show you some beautiful pictures, and then I will request you to visit this sector desperately, and obviously I'm going to show how to visit, where to stay, and what are the facilities available there. So as I told you, there are 1,800 caves in India. Out of that, 1,500 caves in a Deccan Plateau, and these are all rock-cut cave temples. Now, these all caves were patronized by different kings. And these dynasties, these kings were basically, the concept was given by Buddhist monks. The Buddhism is a pioneer. Satavahanas, they were the first dynasties from Parthishtanpuram or Paitan to patronize the caves at Pitalkhora. Then Mauryan dynasty, then Gupta dynasty, then Vakatakas. Vakatakas were from the Vassagulmarg. It is today's Washim in Vidarbha in Maharashtra. Rashtrakutas, Chalukyans, Yadavas, and there were a number of small and regional rulers, as well as all the traders. Most of the caves are situated on the trade routes. In those days, we used to have a international trade as well. You'd be surprised. Have you ever, I don't know whether you heard about the name of this place, Ter. Ter is a place in Maharashtra near Solapur. It is known as a Tagara in those days. So Ter, Bhogavardhan, it's a Bhokardhan. It's a 70 kilometers towards east of Aurangabad in Maharashtra. Bhogavardhan, then Paitan, which was the capital of Satavahanas, then Nasik, Kalyan, Sopara, Ujjain. These were the important trade centers in those days. And all these people, when they were going to the seaport towards Kalyan or Sopara, Nala Sopara. So en route, these people were living alongside at these, the cave sites. And obviously, they patronized these caves. So I'm going to show you some beautiful pictures of these cave sites about which we are talking about. So look at this beautiful mountain. For us, it's a mountain. But if you see at this side, right side here, you don't see any vegetation because it's a solid rock. It's a volcanic region. It's a basalt rock. And that's the reason. In this region, in the western part of India, basalt rock is available in plenty, and that's why it was a most suitable medium for creation of rock-cut cave temples in India. Now, In entire India, there are caves, but some caves are created in sandstone. Take an example of Katak near Bhubaneswar or Elephanta in Maharashtra. But broadly speaking, today my emphasis will be on the western part of India. Now you can see the Deccan, this orange color, Deccan Plateau. This used to be the volcanic region which took place millions of years ago. And on the left side, it's an Indian desert, Thar. So in Thar, we don't find any caves, we don't find any rock, and rock is there, but it's underneath. But here, these are the mountains on Deccan, and Western Ghatas also here at the bottom, towards south, and Eastern Ghatas also, there are some caves, but the majority of cave temples are concentrated on the Deccan Plateau. And in this Deccan Plateau, there are Madhya Pradesh, some part of Madhya Pradesh, majority part of Maharashtra and Gujarat, where the caves are located. Now, first of all, what we are going to see today. So today we are going to see some wonderful caves located at different places that could be visited very easily, that will be useful for us to know our culture, what our ancestors did without getting tired or retired, generations together. You know, this art was passed on. So today I'm going to start all the way from Mumbai. From Mumbai, we will go to Bedsa, Mumbai, Kaneri, Elephanta, then Bedsa, Bhaja, Bhaja to Karla. It is just 8 kilometers. It's from Mumbai. Bedsa is just 109 kilometers towards east. Then Bedsa, Bhaja, Karla, they are nearby. From there, we are going to stop in Pune. And from Pune, we'll go to Lenadri. From Lenadri, we are going to Nasik, which is 150 kilometers away from Pune. And from there, Nasik, it's one of the historic and spiritual city in India where Kumbh Mela takes place. We'll spend some time there, and thereafter we'll go to the first cave site of India, Pitalkhora, and then we'll go to the gigantic place, wonderful place. It's Yellora, and thereafter we'll go to Aurangabad. From Aurangabad caves, we will go to Ajanta, and from Ajanta, I will just give an idea. If we go to a little further towards Madhya Pradesh, towards Dhar, from Dhar, 100 kilometers away, there are caves in Madhya Pradesh, which is known as a Bagh. From there, we can go to Indore, historic city, Bhopal, and from Bhopal, we have a wonderful Buddhist stupas nearby there in Sanchi, and Bhimbetka is also there. So that will be our journey today. So basically these cave or rock-cut cave temples, the Buddhists, as I told you, they were the pioneers. They had given a basic idea, and it was patronized by different kings, irrespective of their faith and belief. That was the Buddhists were the first. Second was the Jains, because the Jain caves are also as good as old as the Buddhist caves. They were started in around 1st century BC, just after 150, 200 years of Buddhism. And finally, around 5th century AD, Brahminical rock-cut cave temples or Hindu cave temples were started. So these are three classical examples. First were the Buddhists, second were the Jains, and third was the Hinduism. Zoroastrianism is also there. There is one site in Maharashtra that there are only one cave belong to Zoroastrianism. Now look at this. This is a beautiful carving which is done on the basalt rock. The pillar creation is going on. The final touch is given with the chisel by artist. Now it is a very one shelter that gives an idea how much amount of rock they took away from the solid mountains. So here is one of the unfinished cave from Ajanta. See, the work was always from top to bottom and from exterior to interior. Now where they have provided light, and most probably this unfinished cave from Ajanta, it is because of it remained unfinished because of shortage of patronage or some war or some conflict in this region. This is a classical example. It's one of the beautiful cave. It's a 19 number of Ajanta. Now in Buddhism, when they started making caves, the first purpose was the creation of shelters, and along with all the way they were doing spiritual things, and they created some places for the worship, prayer halls, and it is a classical prayer hall. This prayer hall is from the second phase. It's a cave from Ajanta, number 19, and it was a place for worship which is known as a Chaitya. The cave, which is the this is unfinished, where we get an idea how this artist created the caves. This is a finished one. It's beyond imagination. It's a project that was going on for more than 70, 80 years to make one cave. So we can understand the patience of our people. And here we are going now. Quickly, I'm going to show you some. This is a classical example of vihara. First was the Chaitya, it's a prayer hall, and this is a vihara where people lived. This place was used for a shelter purpose, and for here the left side you can see the shelters for meditation. Now we are. This is the beautiful Chaitya of a Bhaja. Bhaja is also from 2nd century BC, and you'll be surprised. This is a beautiful Chaitya from Bhaja, which is which is very near by Pune. On the ceiling part, these vaulted cell ceilings, the false ceiling concept was there. You know, it roots goes back to 2nd century BC, and you'll not believe this is a made of beautiful teak wood, and it is original teak. It is from Bhaja. Now, this is from where we are starting our tour. This is a Trimurti. It's one of the most popular image from Elephanta caves. Elephanta, there are 6, 7 caves, which is 1.5 hours distance towards Garapuri from Taj Mahal Hotel of Mumbai. From there, you can go and have a beautiful look at the Brahminical caves. That will be our first attraction whenever you want to do this sector. So Elephanta is a most beautiful and classical example of a Brahminical caves. Yeah, there are some beautiful, sculptures like a Shiva, here Ardhanarishwara, Shiva, Ardhanarishwara with the Nandi and his Ganas. And this is the exterior part of the caves. This is the Elephanta, we call it. So first, initially, we find some this elephant is in one of the museum, Bahudaji Art Museum here, and this is the interior part of some of the caves of Elephanta. Elephanta, after Elephanta, after an excursion, you come back. Just a moment. मला कान्हेरीला जायचं यार. Where is Kanheri? Kanheri. Just a moment. Elephanta. Okay, actually from Mumbai, when we stay in Mumbai, first of all, we visit Elephanta. After coming back from Elephanta, So I'm not going to give you all the details of the caves because these are more than 1,500 caves in the circuit. And if I keep on talking about this, even I will be not able to give a few seconds. But see the beautiful city. It's a Mumbai Nagari. It's a सपनों का शहर है और this is we are in a Sanjay Gandhi National Park. But there is a marvel. हम सोच भी नहीं सकते कि मुंबई के हाट में भी कुछ केव्स होंगे. संजय गांधी नेशनल पार्क, there are Canary caves. In this Canary caves, this is a beautiful example of a see this vihara. Now these monks were sitting at the both side of this vihara. They were sitting at the both side of this platform here, keeping their books, and it was for study purpose. And you can see some beautiful cells here. In these cells, they were meditating. So it shows clearly it was a study center and it was a Guru Shishya Parampara. The Guru Shishya Parampara, you can see it here, and this is the place where you'll find more than 109 caves. This is the only place in India. There are some evidences given by the archaeologists. This place was used till recent time, till 18th century AD. These caves are from 1st century BC. The work was started in 1st century BC and this was used till 13th century AD. And in cave number 34, there is there are evidences where they made some beautiful colors for the paintings. That's a wonderful chaitya. The facades in viharas they're on the top. It's a beautiful, from outside, it doesn't give any idea, but it's a, shelter, rocket shelter made for the, once again, elephant is coming. Okay, so after spending some time in Kanheri, which is in Sanjay Gandhi National Park, and Elephanta at Garapuri, you can enjoy Mumbai Nagari. You can plan your time accordingly. You can plan your time accordingly. Okay. Okay, we are in, so just a few kilometers away from Mumbai, after seeing Elephanta and Kanheri alongside the Mumbai Nagari, the city of dreams. So you can move towards east of Mumbai, and there you'll find beautiful 3 groups of caves. One is a Karla. Now this is a Karla, wonderful chaitya of Kala, which is near Pune. But in a chronological order, you should go first to Bedsa, then Bhaja, because they are on the one side of the highway. And if you go to other side, then it will be Karla. So you need a whole complete day. You will have to start early in the morning for this circuit from Mumbai. From Mumbai, first to Bedsa. From Bedsa, just 22 kilometers away, Bhaja. So you'll have to have a nice shoes, walking shoes, because you'll have to climb at these places. First, Bhaja, Bedsa, Bhaja, and that's Karla. They are all nearby. And if you want to avoid the traffic and then hustle and bustle of Pune, then you have some wonderful resort of MTTC near Karla caves. So this is a Chaitya of a 2nd century BC, that is more than 2,200 years in a Karla. And this is the exterior part, this is the facade, and this is the right side. You can see this stupa. On the stupa, there is a umbrella, the chhatri. It's made of original timber material. It's a teak wood. As I told you, I'm not going to go into the lots of details of these caves. Now, Bhaja, see these, ये ऊपर वाला जो ceiling का है, this ceiling part, you'll not believe, this is a original teak wood structure which is simply 2,200 kilometers. And here in this group of cave, Bhaja, you'll find another Chaitya, beautiful Chaitya there. And here at the right side, these are the memorial stupas of the teachers or the gurus. There are more than 64 this kind of memorial stupas situated at Bhaja. It's a wonderful place. It's a must-visit place. From one of the cave, you can see the beautiful valley there of Deccan. So this is one of the, here, I don't know whether you could see this properly, but this is a lady. She's playing a tabla, an instrument, and this sculpture is more than 2,200 years old. And you can see the evidences of tabla, and another lady is performing a dance. Now, these are some beautiful Bedsa caves, the facades, and this is the Chaitya, wonderful pillars and the capitals. This is also 2nd century BC. And from here, after seeing Bedsa, Karla, and Bhaja, one could stay nearby Karla, or you can have some change. Look at the beautiful city, Pune. It is also famous for its culture, and some beautiful monuments are there. And after having a break, you can proceed to the next destination, which is known as the Lenadri. Nowadays, it is famous for Ganesha, but it is also a cave site, 30 caves, and cave site from the first phase on the way towards Nashik. From there, you can go further to Nasik. And Nasik, there are wonderful some Buddhist caves. This is a Chaitya of Nashik. And in this Nashik Chaitya, you can spend some time. Look at this, the facade of before the Chaitya. These are wonderful viharats. Nasik is not only famous for this Pandolini or the caves. These caves are basically from 2nd century BC. It's also a patronage from Satavahanas. It is not only famous for these caves. Its roots of the city goes back to Ramayana, which was known as in those days Dandakaranya. And Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, they were lived here. And we have the Ghats of Godavari, which is known as the Dakshin Ganga. So it's a spiritual city, it's a modern city, it's an ancient city, and there you can spend some wonderful time with these caves and with this modern city, Nashik. Now, in a true sense, we are at the oldest place of India, the oldest site of India, that is known as the Pital Khora. Pitalkhora caves, these are all 14 Buddhist caves. Our ancestors, first of all, they took a chisel and hammer into their hands and started creation of this beautiful tradition, rock cut cave temples. In these rock cut cave temples, they spent more than 1,600 years, and that was, believe me, that was the first place where our ancestors started making cave. Let me see, there are, sir, can you please show the place on map to while progressing the site? Okay. Or a Buddhist monk, team cut at the caves, who did? Okay. So there are a couple of questions here. So to show the places in the map, it's not possible for me at this moment, but one question I will certainly answer. This question is from Madam Lakshmi Evlekar. Madam, actually the monks, they were busy in the spiritual practices. They were the directors. They have produced an idea. It was done always by the artist. The patronage, even the patronage, it was given by different rulers and the business communities. There is no question whether the entire patronage came from the Buddhists. The patronage came from the communities, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, and faith. It's a certain, according to all researchers, the caves were never done by the monks. The idea was given by the monks. Thank you very much. Now, Pitalkhora, which is, nearby Ellora. It is just 48 kilometers away from Ellora, 78 kilometers away from Ajanta. So this is the first site where what you are seeing now, it's a Pitalkhora. These are some donors or the kings at the entrance of cave number 3 here. Look at the beautiful headdress, and it was the welcoming beautiful elephants, and these are some stupas of Pitalkhora. Totally there are 14 caves. Now from Pitalkhora, it's a few kilometers away, just a few kilometers away, and it is Ellora. Ellora, see, I'm seeing here in the chat box, there are so many questions. Sir, can you please show? No, just a moment. Okay. There was a question where a Zoroastrianism cave is there. There is a place which is known as a Barot or Barad. It's in between Mumbai and Pune. It's the only cave, Barod or Barot. So we are in Ellora. Ellora is the most exciting and the largest site in India where you will find 34 cave temples. These 34 cave temples, all the way the earliest caves. It is much, much, much later. In a comparison, what we have seen, Karla, Bhaja, Bedsa, Kondana, so that's a mother. And Ellora is a grandchild, because the initial work was started at Ellora in 6th century AD. And Ellora, Pitalkhora, it was started in 3rd century BC. There is a more than 900 years gap in between this work. Now, these elephants you are seeing here are from the great Kailasha. The first group is a Buddhist from 6th century AD onwards, going on till 9th century AD. And then in the middle of Ellora, they have created, Rashtrakuta has created one of the most beautiful temple, which started from top, came towards bottom, which took more than 200 years with the chisel and hammer, and millions of tons rock was removed from this place. Believe me, in those days, there was no dynamites. Only sent millimeter by millimeter, which required only patience, nothing else. The generations together, as I was talking about, for this more than 1,800 years, our ancestors, they spent more than 1,600 years. And in this period, the only patience. Now, these are some beautiful elephants. These elephants are carrying great Kailash temple of Ellora. This temple took more than 200 years. All the way, it's an imitation of a flying chariot. And this flying chariot, it's a great abode of Lord Shiva at Ellora. There are some Buddhist caves, as I told you initially, right side, you can see some beautiful chaitya, but the ceiling, the chaitya, they are from, ceiling, it's from solid rock. It's just imitation of wooden architecture. Basically, I have showed you some Karla and Bhaja caves on the ceiling. It's an original rock. Sorry, it's an original teak wood, but here, thereafter, they started making it solid rock, because the wood was perished at many places, and Karla and Bhaja, as they are situated at a high mountains, and that's why it is always a dry place. Wherever the caves were in the valleys, there was a lot of moisture, and because of the moisture, the wood was perished, and that's why in the second phase they started making it vaulted shape with these rock reefs, which used to create ecosystem. When the monks, they were delivering a lecture or chanting some hymns, it was giving a fantastic sound system. In those days there were no mics, so this was providing a beautiful sound system. And in the middle you'll find a beautiful kalasha in the middle of a pillar, and that's from a giant cave of Ellora. There are 13 these are beautiful images from 29 caves, and right side you can see the Kailasha, great Kailasha, and these are 29 number. It's a Shiva and Parvati, and Ravana lifting Kailasha, and it's a Buddha again. It's now we are no more in Ellora. So we have seen Pitalkhora, and after Pitalkhora, a few kilometers away, one can stay at Ellora. There are a couple of some reasonable, wonderful accommodation facilities available there. So one could live there, or one could go and stay back in Aurangabad. So while going to, I haven't covered each and every tourist place. So today our focus was only on rock-cut cave temples of Western India, and these were some of the rock-cut cave temples. Let me remind you, we started our journey in Mumbai. There we have seen Elephanta caves, Paneri cave, then we came to Bedsa towards Pune, Bhaja, Karla, and from there we had been to Lenadri. From Lenadri, that is known as the Junnar Caves also, it's because it is nearby Junnar, and from there, historic city, the wine city, or the spiritual city of India, Nasik. From Nashik, we had been to Pitalkhora, and from Pitalkhora, you have a wonderful caves of 34 caves of Ellora, and from there, just 10 kilometers away, it's an ancient capital of India, which is known as Daulatabad or Devgiri. In those days, Devgiri fort, in the period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, all the way in 1329 to 36, these 7 years, it used to be a served as a capital of entire India. And there is also a temple, fort. This fort is a unique in India en route while going to Aurangabad. It is just a few kilometers away from Ellora. See, you can spend 3-4 hours at this special fort, which is also chiseled from all the way top to bottom with in a solid basalt rock, which used to be one of the having a strongest defense strategy. And there are also some giant caves at the bottoms of this fort. And from there, you can move towards the modern city of Aurangabad. In Aurangabad, in a northern part of Aurangabad, there are some beautiful 13 Buddhist caves, and number 7 is more having most exciting, beautiful dancing panel of a dancing panel and beautiful images of Buddha. And there is one cave where it's a combination where you'll find a Ganesha, Saptamatrikas, and some Jaina sculptures at Aurangabad. And there are some other attractions. There is a city which is known as the City of Gates. And after that, we will go see these are Aurangabad caves. These are beautiful Aurangabad caves. Chaitya of Aurangabad, and that's the side, exterior part of Aurangabad cave. And this is also Aurangabad. The dancing panel is here on the left side. It's one of the most famous panel. And from there, now it's a time to move towards one of the most exciting place and one of the largest learning center of Buddhism. It's one of the greatest Buddhist university of its time, that is 2nd century BC, and it's Ajanta. So within a few minutes, I'm just going to give you an idea. The Ajanta, which is 100 kilometers away from Aurangabad towards east, north, and there, that's the site. There are 30 caves, some beautiful 5 viharas, the rest of them are chaityas, and this place is a classical example of universities, Buddhist universities or the Buddhist learning centers of those days. And this is the entire valley. You can have a glimpse from the viewpoint. And the picture is taken in a monsoon, and this year it was a really heavy rainfalls, and everywhere in Ajanta there are waterfalls, and even this time there is plenty of water, and you can see enjoy this beautiful valley, beautiful Buddhist learning center. You can see the facade or exterior part of these caves, Ajanta caves. In Ajanta caves, it's caves from 2 different periods. Now, this is the cave number 1, which contains lots of paintings, and these paintings represent the spiritual stories or Jataka stories. There are totally 41 Jatakas in Ajanta in the form of paintings, and inside in this cave, number 1, 2, 16, 17. The maximum paintings. Normally, people call it frescoes. No, these are not frescoes. Some people try to call it tempera. No, these are not. These are neither fresco nor tempera. That's the Ajanta school of painting. The special mud plaster was applied on the rough rock surfaces, and then they applied natural colors, and they created wonderful stories. And the paintings of 2nd century BC, even today, they are in a wonderful shape, wonderful condition. Obviously, Archaeological Survey of India also playing a greater role to maintain these caves. And this is number 1 of Ajanta, with a wonderful, image of Buddha in a teaching. And right side, it's a Vajrapani, and left side, it's a Padmapani. Padmapani and Vajrapani, these 2 bodhisattvas here in number 1. And these cave contains a lot of wonderful, Jataka stories. So In these paintings, you will find a contemporary culture. You'll find a beautiful ornamentation, beautiful costumes, beautiful hairdresses, whatnot. Even in this modern world, we don't find the ultra modern fashion and ultra modern things in these, the whatever we find in these caves in the form of paintings. So the color combination, if you go to number 2, you will find beautiful, color combination in these figures. The blue turban, blue socks, white turban, white socks, jewelry. Look at this Padmapani, heavily ornamented crown, eyebrows finished in one stroke of brush, earrings, necklace, lotus, serenity, and on his face, Padmapani. My God, how excellent, beautiful color combination and heavily ornamented crown. Look at this dancing girl, very famous girl, the girls orchestra here. This is from number 17. Sorry, not number 17. Number 1, Mahajanaka, and this is the ceiling of Ajanta. Left side, this elephant, which is an emblem of our Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. From here, if you would like, you can go further. Dhar, a place which is in Madhya Pradesh, or you can call it Mandavgarh or Mandu. From there are 100 kilometers. There are wonderful, exciting caves. They are known as the Bagh caves. From there, Indore is not far. Ujjain is not far. Bhopal is not far away. You can go to the Nagari of Rajabhoja. Bhopal is a wonderful city of Madhya Pradesh. It's connected very well with Mumbai and Delhi. From there, Sanchi is just, 3rd century BC. Sanchi is just, 46 kilometers away. And from there, Bhimbetka, the wonderful, exciting caves, natural caves. Here at the end, I have used this word caves, and in a true sense, these are the caves. These are the natural cavities. Obviously, they were used out by our ancestors. There are some paintings which are thousands of years old, but this was the sector I was talking about. And whenever you'd like to come, you are most welcome. These are the must visit places. I sum up within a couple of minutes. All the way today, we have started our journey with a few information about the cave architecture, cave culture. We started it all the way from Elephanta, which is very nearby from southern part of Mumbai, or the famous gateway of India. It is just 1.5 hours through the boat. Second, in the heart of city, Canary Caves, 109 beautiful caves. From there, 109 kilometers. Bedsa, 22 kilometers from there. Bhaja, from Bhaja, just 8 kilometers. Karla. This entire group from 2nd century BC, you'll not believe it's more than 2,200 years. And from there, Pune, in the heart of Pune city, there are also some caves like a Pataleshwar. I didn't mention that. The reason behind that, nowadays there is no parking. From there, we go to Lenadri, which is one of the places from the very famous Ganesha temples, Astavinayakas. From there, 150 kilometers, our ancient city, Nasik. Its roots goes all the way back to Ramayana. And from there, we had been to Pitalkhora, the first cave temple site of India. From there, the famous Kailasha of Ellora, Buddhist caves, Jain caves, 34 totally. Then Daulatabad, the ancient capital of India. In those days, it was known as the Devgiri, it was the capital of Yadavas. From there, we had been to Aurangabad, the city of gates, 52 gates there, with the mini Taj Mahal, Bibi Ka Maqbara. From there, 100 kilometers towards east-north, the world famous Buddhist university, today's Ajanta. From there, you can extend your journey to Dhar or Mandavgarh. From there are Bagh caves. From Bagh caves, you can go to Indore, Bhopal. You can enjoy wonderful Sanchi stupas of 3rd century BC. And do not forget to visit Bhim Betka. So now it is exactly 1 hour. There were so many questions. In fact, our Argana, first of all, I'd like to thank, I'll go through some of the questions, and if I'm able to answer it, I will certainly answer. Otherwise, you can contact me at the end of, in next coming couple of minutes, I'll be writing my email and phone number. If you have a further interest, you can contact me anytime. You are most welcome. Any question there? Can I see? Sir, please speak in Hindi language. हिंदी लैंग्वेज में तो नहीं होगा, अभी तो काम खत्म हो गया है. Sir, your video is getting stuck. Okay. Voice and voice not clear. So, I'd like to thank Ms. Moteshi Naskar, madam, our beloved ADG, Mrs. Brar, madam, my colleague, Dr. Ajay Singh, and all organizers. Thank you very much. Hope we'll see soon on this sector. I'm writing here my email ID and phone number if you have any further question. Thank you very much.
That was an amazing session with magnificent images and deep insight about the cave temple, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Subhas Jadhav ji, for highlighting these facts and figures about the marbles and how it is religiously important for us. And sir, I think you need some more long talking sessions to complete this topic, because it's a vast topic. I don't think it's 1 hour or 30 minutes is sufficient for you. However, today again we have exceeded our given time. And I also would like to thank Ajay Singh sir for making it happen. I mean, the sessions are really because of you. And NEGD, thank you for your technical support and our social media team. Time to say goodbye. But before that, stay tuned with us. Every Saturday, we are coming up with many more mind-blowing topics with excellent speakers in our Dekho Apna Desh session. Last but not the least, put on your mask when you step out, maintain social distancing, and stay safe. And it's a weekend, so enjoy your weekend. Till then, goodbye. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.